Hello students. In the last class we have studied about the EMF per turn equations. In that we have derived a relation between the EMF per turn with respect to the value of K, correct? So have to see, yeah. So we have arrived that EMF per turn is proportional to the value of K and the kVA of the transformer. So the value of K is nothing but square root of 4.44 FR into 10 to the power 3, where R is equal to 5M by 80, correct, and F is the supply frequency. So here we have seen that EMF per turn is directly proportional to the value of K. So for a particular transformer, it will be depends upon the value of K, correct. So now we have to conclude that, or we have to draw a conclusion based on the value of R. R is equal to 5M by 8, correct. So the transformer may be designed to make one of the following quantities as minimum. So when we are going for designing of transformer, we have to think of following parameters to be designed as a minimum. So what is that? So total volume. So your designed transformer or the output transformer should be have low volume, and its weight should be low, total weight should be low, and its cost should be less, and the losses should be less, correct, and efficiency should be more. So core and copper loss should be less, and therefore it will in turn increase the efficiency. Cost of the transformer also should be less. We are not designing for the large cost or high cost. Total weight and volume also should be low. So all these quantities are vary with the value of R. R is given by 5M by 80. 5M is the maximum flux, that is, you can say that it is magnetic loading of the transformer, magnetic part, and 80 is the electrical loading part, that is ampere turns. So all these quantities like volume, weight, total cost and total losses are depends upon the ratio of these parameters, that is magnetic loading and ampere turns of the transformer. So this ratio is given by R. So if we choose a high value of R, if the value of R is high, then it is nothing but flux becomes larger. That is, if the value of R is high, then phi m will be higher. Flux will become larger, phi m value will be larger, and large cross section is needed, which results in higher volume, weight, cost of iron, and higher iron loss. If the value of phi m is increases, means you need to have a large cross sectional area for the core, correct. So to move the magnetic flux in a core, so that will result in higher volume, and if the volume is increases, means the weight of the machine will be also increases. So that will in turn increases the iron cost of the iron cost of the material. So that will leads to the higher iron loss, correct, higher iron loss, which is a constant loss. So in other words, you can say, owing to decrease in the value of AT, if the value of AT is decreases, in other words, less value, then R value will be higher, correct. So then the volume, weight, cost of copper required decreases. So which will in turn decreases, because the AT value is decreases, means the current flowing through, the magnitude of current and number of turns in the winding will be less. That will in turn reduces the volume of the machine, which again reduces the weight of the machine, and cost of copper required is also decreases, because number of turns in the winding will be less, so the amount of copper required is less, so that which in turn decreases the cost of copper, and I square R losses also decreases when the cost of copper or the amount of copper required is decreases, which will reduces the I square R loss, because copper loss is proportional to the current flowing through that one, that is I square R. So you can say that when there is a decrease in the value of AT, then there is a decrease in the I square R loss or copper loss in the transformer. Thus the value of R is a controlling factor for above mentioned quantities. So you can say that R is the controlling factor, that is the magnetic loading and electrical loading. You can say phi m, that is magnetic flux, and ampere turns. So these ratio, that is R, is the controlling factor for above quantities. Next, we have to go for the design of cores. So what are the requirement or what are the types of cores are used in the transformer? So we have three types of cores which are you can use. So that is called as a rectangular core. This is the core is this is a core, correct? In the top view, if you see the top view of the transformer, core type transformer, so you will be getting a winding if it is a circular winding. If it is a circular winding, so the winding will be in the circular shape, and this is the core. Core dimension is of rectangular. Then this is the rectangular core, and this is the circular coil, or you can say it is called as a circumscribing circle. So it is called as a circumscribing circle. So if the core is square shape, this core is square shape. Again, we have see the if the coils, the windings are in circle in shape. So this will be wounded in the edges of the square, correct? Edges of the square. So here in the rectangular also it is this coils are wounded in along with the edges of this rectangular core. So if instead of using rectangular core and square core, if you use a stepped core means if it is if it is divided into steps like structure like this. So this is called as a stepped core. Here you can say it is a three-stepped core. So this is one step, and this is another step, second step, and this is third step. Same way here in the bottom side also. So from here in the center of the circle, in the top side, if you say, so this is one step, second step, and third step. So likewise here in the bottom side also. So it is called as a three-stepped core. So normally the design of the core will be having steps, having this, like these steps, either two-stepped or single steps. This is example of single step, either square core or rectangular core. There is no second steps or third steps. So this is a single stepped core, or you can have two-stepped core. So the two-stepped core is called as a cruciform core. The word is cruciform. So here it is written cruciform core, which is having two step. So this is a cruciform core. So here it is two step, one step and another. This is step. So two-stepped cores like this. It is divided. So it is a two-stepped core, or it is called as a cruciform section. And this is a three-stepped core, where it is the windings are surrounded by a or the coils, or the winding coils are surrounded by the core, correct? So which one is better? What are the importance of having steps in the cores? That we have to see in the design of the cores. So this is, you can say, core cross section. So this is a two-stepped or cruciform core. So this is a two-stepped core. So if you continuously connect here, so this will be two steps. So this is a rectangular shape of one step, and another, this is another step, which is surrounded by a circular coils, which are surrounded by a circular coil. So near to that of LV winding. LV winding is near to the core, as I told, in between duct or insulation. After that, HV winding. So if you see in the top view of the transformer, which is having a two-step core, so you will be getting this like a structure. Shape will be like this, correct? Shape will be like this. So you can have LV and winding, LV winding, HV winding, and this is a circumscribing circle of the core, correct? Circumscribing circle of the core, that will be surrounded by a step nearly edges of the cores. They are touching the circumscribing circle is touching the edges of the core, correct? So if you are choosing a rectangular core, so this is a rectangular core, correct? So there is no circumscribing circle for the rectangular core. Then you have to go for the rectangular coils. That will be better. So this is a rectangular coil which is having outermost HV winding, in between a duct, that is insulation, and innermost is the LV winding. So this is a rectangular core. So for core type transformer, the cross section may be rectangular, square, or stepped. So normally cross section of the cores will be chosen as rectangular core, square core, or stepped core. When circular coils are required, when the coils are used as a circular in shape, then square and stepped cores are used. For the circular coils, we have to use square and stepped cores. For shell type transformer, the cross section may be rectangular. Rectangular cores can be used for the shell type transformer. When rectangular cores are used, the coils are also rectangular in shape. If you are choosing for rectangular cores, like in a shell type transformer, then the coils also should be rectangular in shape. Rectangular cores are suitable for small and low voltage transformers. So rectangular cores are used for shell type transformer normally, which is used for small and low voltage transformers. In core type transformer with rectangular cores, if there is no necessary, I mean, there is no not you can use the rectangular cores in the core type transformer also. Then ratio of depth to width of the core will be around 1.4 to 2. Depth of the core to width of the core. So width of the core is in horizontal position, and if you see in the three-dimensional, then side view, you can say side view will be the depth of the core. So the ratio of depth of the core to width of the core is around 1.4 to 2 in case of core type rectangular type cores, rectangular core type. Okay. In shell type transformer with rectangular cores, the width of the central limb is 2 to 3 times that of the cores. So width of the central limb is, in case of rectangular cores, is around 2 to 3 times that of the core. So the excessive leakage fluxes produced during short circuit and overload develop severe mechanical stresses on the coils. So the leakage fluxes which are produced during short circuit, if there is a short circuit occurs in the transformer, so the leakage fluxes which are produced causes overloads and develop a severe mechanical stress on the coils. On circular coils, these forces are radial. If you choose a circular coils, then these forces are forces are radially distributed, and there is no tendency for the coil to change its shape. If it is a circular coils, there is no change in the shape of the coils, and the forces due to the overloads and mechanical stresses, that will be distributed radially in case of circular coils. So on rectangular and square coils, the forces are perpendicular to the conductors and tends to deform the shape of the coil. So if you are choosing circular coils, then the forces are radial in nature, and it will not bend or change the shape of the coils. But if you choose rectangular and square coils, the forces are perpendicular to the conductors or coils only. Then there is a change in the shape of the coils will be formed in case of rectangle. So preferably circular coils are used in case of core type transformers. Hence, circular coils are employed in high voltage and high capacity transformers. For this particular reason, we are going for circular coils in high voltage and high capacity transformers instead of going for rectangular coil, because rectangular coil and square coils will be having the force, that is overload and mechanical stresses which will be formed during short circuit. That forces will be perpendicular to the conductors only, and it will tend to deform the shape of the coil. So in square cores, the diameter of the circumscribing circle is larger than the diameter of stepped cores of same area of cross section. If you choose same area of cross section of square core and the same area of cross section of stepped cores, then the diameter of circumscribing circle in square cores will be larger than the stepped core cross section. When stepped cores are used, the length of mean turn of the winding is reduced. If you choose a step in the cores, then the length of winding, average length of winding, length of mean turn, that is average length of the winding, can be reduced when compared to square core or rectangular core. If you directly choose rectangular core or square core, then the length of mean turn of the winding will be higher than if you choose a stepped cores. That we have to prove, that we have to see, which in turn reduces the cost of copper and copper loss. If you reduce the length of mean turn of the copper windings, then you can reduce the cost of the copper and copper losses of the machine also you can reduce, which will in turn reduces the cost of the machine also. So it is better to have a stepped core instead of going for a square core or a rectangular core transformers. So with increase in steps, a large number of different sizes of lamination has to be used. So that is also one of the disadvantage. If you increase the steps, we need to provide a large number of different sizes of laminations, because core are made up of laminations, correct? So there will be a different number of laminations also should be provided. That is a negative term in if you are choosing a stepped core. The results in higher labor charges for sharing and assembling different types of laminations, which will result in higher labor charges. Labor charges for providing the laminations for sharing and assembling also increases. Now we have to see what are the mathematically we have to prove that by using the stepped cores. By using the stepped cores, we can reduce the copper requirement. Requirement or area utilization of the transformer core will be more when we go for the stepped cores instead of square cores. That we have to see. So this is a square core, correct? So we can assume it as a square core, square shaped, and this is a diameter of circle, and this is a diameter of circumscribing circle d. So a circle is drawn which touches the edges of the square core, correct? And the length of the square core is, let it be a. So if it is a square, then length and breadth will be same, correct? It is not for the actual dimensions, so we are assuming it as a square, and the length will be a and a, correct, for a square, and d is the diagonal of this square. D is the diagonal of square, and it is also equal to the diameter of this particular circle. So let d is the diameter of circumscribing circle, which is also equal to diagonal of square core, correct? It is a diagonal of square core also, and let a will be the side of the square, Then according to Pythagoras law, this d is equal to square root of a square plus a square, correct? So if you apply the Pythagoras theorem, so this d is equal to, actually it is d square is equal to a square plus a square. If you choose d value, then it is square root of a square plus a square. So which is equal to square root of 2a square, or which is equal to square root of 2 into a, square root of 2 into a. So then side of the square, that is a, will be equal to, from this relation, a is equal to d by square root of 2, d by square root of 2. Then gross core area AGI, that is a gross core area which is considered as a AGI, which is equal to area of the square. So gross core area, gross means it is total, which considers the insulation part also, total area. So that is area of the square, which is equal to a square. A square is nothing but d by square root of 2 whole square, which is equal to 0.5 d square. So that is gross core area, you can say, that is area of the square, total area, including the insulation part. So that will be equal to 0.5 d square. Let a stacking factor, a term that is denoted as SF. Stacking factor is SF, which is nothing but ratio of net core area to gross core area. Net core area means it is excluding the insulation part or other part which is supported for the core, correct? So the net core area to the gross core area, that is called as the stacking factor. So it is equal to 0.9. That means 90% of the gross area will be considered as a net core area, which is actual core area. So that we are considering as a stacking factor, which is equal to 0.9. Then gross core area is the area included, net core area, that is AI, which is equal to stacking factor into gross core area, correct? Net core area, that is AI, is nothing but stacking factor into gross core area, because stacking factor definition is net core area by gross core area. So net core area is stacking factor into gross core area. So you will be getting 0.9 into 0.5 d square, which is equal to 0.45 d square. So gross core area is the area including the insulation area in the core, insulation area in the core, and net core area is the area excluding the insulation area. Now area of circumscribing circle, if you see, that is pi by 4 into d square, correct? Area of the circumscribing circle is pi by 4 into d square. So if you take the ratio of net core area to area of circumscribing circle. Area of circumscribing circle means it is a total area, correct? So this total area which is given by pi by 4 into d square, and area of net core area divided by area of circumscribing circle, if you do 0.45 d square divided by pi by 4 d square, so you will be getting 0.58. That means net core area is around 58% of area of circumscribing circle, net core area. If you similarly you can calculate the gross core area to the area of circumscribing circle, the ratio of gross core area to the area of circumscribing circle, then you will be getting 0.5 d square divided by pi by 4 into d square. So you will be getting 0.64. That means gross core area is around 64% or 0.64 times of area of circumscribing circle. That much reduces, correct? 0.64 into area of circumscribing circle. So net core area is 50.58 into area of circumscribing circle in case of square core. Gross core area is 0.64 into area of circumscribing circle, correct? Next, core area factor. One more term we can consider as a core area factor, that is current term as a KC. KC is nothing but net core area divided by square of circumscribing circle. Square of circumscribing circle, that is core area factor. So net core area is AI divided by square of circumscribing circle is d square. So AI is 0.45 d square divided by d square, which is equal to 0.45. So you can say that core area factor of a square core transformer is 0.45, which will be used for the other calculations in the future. That is for square core type of a transformer. That values we have to remember. Next we go for the two-stepped core or cruciform core. So two-stepped core, what is the figure of a two-stepped core? You can see here. So this is the two-stepped core. Hope you remember. Yeah, this is two-stepped core, or it is called as a cruciform. There are two steps, or it is called as a cruciform core, correct? So now we have to see the area utilization for a two-stepped core or cruciform core. Two-stepped core or cruciform core. So in stepped cores, the dimensions of the steps should be chosen such as to occupy maximum area within a circle. So why step is chosen? Because the maximum area utilization should be taken in a particular within a circle. So therefore we have to choose the stepped cores. The dimensions of the two-stepped to give maximum area for the core in the given area of circle are determined as follows. So what are the maximum area utilization for a two-stepped core can be seen. So here if you see the figure here, this is a two-stepped core, correct? Cross section of two-stepped core. So this is one step. This is if you see the in between middle of this one, so this is one step and this is second step. Similarly here this is one step and this is second step, which is having equal rectangulars, you can say, which are bounded or which are mounted in horizontal and vertical position, equal rectangulars in a circle, correct? So that will form a two-stepped core. So let this D is the diagonal of this particular rectangular. D is the diagonal of this particular rectangle. So let this width is A. A is the width of this one, this rectangular, and B is the A is the length of this rectangular. A is the length of this rectangular and B is the width of this rectangular. Then this will become A, correct, which are mounted 90 degree to each other. So this will become A and this will become B, correct? This is the width and this is the length. So they are mounted 90 degree to each other. So the angle made by this particular with respect to the diagonal to the horizontal line is taken as a theta. So here A is the length of the rectangular. So this is A is the length of the rectangular. B is the breadth of the rectangular. So this is the breadth of the rectangular. And D is the diameter of circumscribing circle. D is the diameter of circumscribing circle. So this is at a circumscribing circle, and which is equal to diagonal of rectangular. So this is a rectangular. So this is also equal to the diagonal of rectangular. Now theta is the angle made between the diagonal and length of the rectangular. So this theta is angle between the diagonal and length of the rectangle. So this is the length, that is A, and D. Theta is the angle between A and D, you can say A and D. Same way, if you see the figure here, so this length you can say, or more specifically you can say, yeah, this length is nothing but A minus B by 2, correct? Because total length is A minus this B, you have to subtract, and this will become A minus B by 2, half of that, correct? So this is B, correct? So this is the length of B. So here also it is A minus B by 2. So total it is A, this total it is A, and this length is B. So you have to minus A minus B, and this is half, correct? This is one part and another is, this is another part. So it will be A minus B by 2, and in the bottom side also it is A minus B by 2. Hope you understand. So this is the value of B and this is the value of A, correct? So this is A and this is B, and angle is theta. So this is A minus B by 2, A minus B by 2. So remember this figure. So this derivation is also important, or comparison of square core and cruciform core is also important. Now the maximum core area for a given D is obtained when theta value is maximum. So according to mathematics, the maximum core area for a given D is obtained when theta value is maximum. That is differentiating AGI equation with respect to theta and equate it to 0, solve for maximum value of theta. So you have to differentiate the value of theta, and you have to differentiate the value of theta with respect to, differentiating the value of AGI with respect to theta and equate it to 0 to give the maximum value of theta, correct? So from figure we can say that cos theta is equal to A by D. So if you see here from this one, cos theta is nothing but A by D, correct? A by D. So from this one, this figure, so cos theta is equal to A by D, correct? So cos theta is equal to A by D, and we can write it as A is equal to D cos theta. Similarly, sin theta is B divided by A. So from this figure, sin theta is nothing but opposite by B divided by A, correct? B divided by D, opposite by hypotenuse. So sin theta is equal to B divided by D. So we will be getting B is equal to D sin theta. So the two-stepped core can be divided into three rectangles. The area of three rectangles gives the gross core area. So this step you can convert into three rectangles. One is this rectangular, which is mounted on horizontally, this rectangular, and this is second rectangular, and this is the third rectangle. So area of this one total, it is gross core area. Area of these three rectangular will be considered as a gross core areas, correct? So this is one rectangular, this is second rectangular, and this is the third rectangle. So total area is gross core area, that is AGI. So the two-stepped core can be divided into three rectangulars. The area of three rectangles gives the gross core area. So gross core area AGI is equal to, so you can say area of a big rectangular is AB, that is horizontally mounted rectangular, that is AB. So what is that? So the area of this rectangular is A into B, correct? So the area of this rectangular is, we can say, A minus B by 2 into B, correct? A minus B by 2 into B. Similarly, this area of this rectangular also A minus B by 2 into B. So you can write it as A minus B by 2 into B plus A minus B by 2 into B. So that is the total gross core area. So two rectangular area we can divide. So this is a big rectangular area, this is a small upper one small rectangular area, or lower one, one and the same, A minus B by 2 into B plus A minus B by 2 into B. So which is equal to AB plus, this is 2 a minus b by 2 into b, correct. 2 into a minus b by 2 into b. So you can say that which is equal to ab plus ab minus b square, ab plus ab minus b square, which is equal to 2ab minus b square, 2ab minus b square. Now substitute the value of a and b. On substituting for a and b, we will get, so a we got it as d cos theta and b we got it as d sin theta. So you have to substitute here. So 2 into d cos theta into 2 d sin theta minus b is d sin theta whole square, correct. So which is equal to 2 d square cos theta sin theta minus d square sin square theta, correct. So 2d square cos theta sin theta minus d square into sin square theta. So which is equal to d square if you take it outside, 2 into cos theta sin theta minus sin square theta, correct. So which is equal to d square, 2 cos theta sin theta is sin 2 theta minus sin square theta, correct. So which is equal to d square sin 2 theta minus d square sin square theta, correct. So that is the value of AGI, or you can say that gross core area is equal to d square sin 2 theta minus d square sin square theta. Now we have to differentiate AGI with respect to theta and equate it to 0, correct. So to get maximum value of theta, differentiate AGI with respect to theta and equate it to 0. That is d by d theta of AGI and equal to 0. We have to do. So we will be getting, on differentiating the equation with respect to theta, we get, so d by d theta of AGI, which is equal to d square cos 2 theta into 2. So sin 2 theta is, derivation is cos 2 theta into 2 minus sin square theta is d square into 2 sin theta cos theta, 2 sin theta into cos theta. So put d by d theta AGI equal to 0. So d square cos 2 theta into 2 minus d square 2 sin theta cos theta, which is equal to 0. So that is nothing but d square 2 sin theta cos theta, which is equal to d square cos 2 theta into 2. So this which is equal to this one. So we will be getting d square sin 2 theta. So this is d square sin 2 theta, which is equal to d square cos 2 theta into 2. So taking the ratio of sin 2 theta divided by cos 2 theta, sin 2 theta divided by cos 2 theta, which is equal to 2. This 2 will be there because d square and d square get cancelled. D square get cancelled. So this 2 will be there. So sin 2 theta by cos 2 theta equal to 2, and which is equal to tan 2 theta, which is equal to 2, and 2 theta is equal to tan inverse of 2, and theta is half into tan inverse of 2. Half into tan inverse 2, if you do, then theta value will be getting 31.72 degree. That means what? At theta value, the angle between A and D, if it is 31.72 degree, then that is the maximum area, maximum core area utilization, maximum core area utilization. So when theta is 31.72 degree, the dimensions of the core, that is A and B, will give the maximum area for the core for a specified value of D. For a specified value of D, the maximum core area will be given with the A and B is theta is equal, when theta is equal to 31.72 degree. And theta is equal to 31.72 degree. If you substitute the value of A and B, so A is nothing but d cos theta, which is equal to d cos of 31.72 degree, which is equal to 0.85 d. 0.85 d. That means A value will be, that is length of the rectangular core is equal to a 0.85 times the diameter of circumscribing circle or diagonal of the square, correct. So when theta is equal to 31.72 degree, B value will be equal to d sin theta, which is equal to 0.53 into d. B value will be, that is breadth of the rectangular is equal to 0.53 times the diameter. So on substituting the above values of A and B, we will be getting this A and B value. If you are getting, then gross core area in the AGI, so that equation, so in the equation AGI you got it as 2AB minus B square, correct. Gross core area is AGI equal to 2AB minus B square. If you substitute this A and B value, so 2 into 0.85 into D into 0.53 into D minus B square is 0.53 into D square, which is equal to 0.618 into D square. So gross core area is given as 0.618 times d square, that is diameter of the circumscribing circle or diagonal of the rectangle. So here also you will consider the stacking factor, that is SF, that is 0.9. Here also we will consider it as a 0.9, that is it is the ratio of net core area by gross core area. By considering stacking factor, net core area AI equal to stacking factor into gross core area, so which is equal to 0.9 into 0.618 into d square. So we will be getting 0.56 d square. So this is the net core area except excluding the insulation part. So net core area you will be getting 0.56 into d square. Now if you take the ratio of net core area by area of circumscribing circle, so net core area is 0.56 d square and area of circumscribing circle is pi by 4 into d square. So you will be getting 0.71 net core area by area of circumscribing circle in stepped core or in a two-stepped core or cruciform core, you will be getting 0.71. Then the ratio of gross core area to area of circumscribing circle, you will be getting 0.618 into d square divided by pi by 4 into d square. So you will be getting 0.79. So core area factor, if you calculate, then net core area by square of circumscribing circle. So AI by d square. So AI is, in case of cruciform core, is 0.56 into d square divided by d square. So we will be getting 0.56. Therefore, we can prove that the area of circumscribing circle is more effectively utilized by increasing the number of steps. So if you consider this ratio, that is gross core area by area of circumscribing circle and net core area of circumscribing circle of square core and two-stepped core or cruciform core, then it is value is higher. So that is projected in this particular table. See, if you see AGI by, that is gross core area by area of circumscribing circle, is in square core we got it as 0.64. Net core area by area of circumscribing circle we got it as 0.58. If you increase the steps as a two-step, that is cruciform, so you will be getting 0.79. This ratio is 0.79. That means gross core area is equal to 0.79 times area of circumscribing circle. So that ratio is increased. So net core area is also increases. See, here it is 0.58, here it is 0.71. So that means what? As we increase the number of steps in the core, then the area utilization, whether it is gross core area and net core area utilization will be more by looking at this table. Correct. So that we have proved, derived and proved. Similarly, we can consider for three-stepped core. If you go on increase the number of steps, three-step core, then this ratio will be getting 0.84 and 0.75. So this derivation is not necessary. So as it is done and calculated, and it is found that it is 0.84 and 0.75. If it is four-stepped core, still if you increase the number of steps like a four-stepped core, so it will be 0.87 and 0.78. From this table we can find out that, or we can conclude that, as the number of steps increases in the core type of transformer in the core, then the area utilization for the cores is increasing. Okay, so this is very important derivation for square core and cruciform core area utilization, net core area utilization and gross core area utilization is important in the examination point. So we'll stop here. Thank you.